A whole lot of news just leaked for the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S, both pricing and dates, so we're going to talk about all that stuff, and in my rush to set up for shooting this, I realized that I definitely don't have enough equipment for doing a night shoot at my apartment, but the news is happening now, so here we are. So where to begin? About an hour ago, or last night by the time this video is probably going live, a whole lot of different Xbox information started coming out, and it's looking like most, if not all of it, is real. The first big thing was a visual leak of the Xbox Series S, which appears to be about as tall as the Xbox Series X, but considerably thinner. It is a white design instead of a black one, but features a prominent black vent on the front face of it, at least when it's in tower mode. It's being displayed in tower mode, which I know is kind of like the default for a lot of different consoles, but I feel like this one's design in particular definitely lends itself to being more of a kind of landscape setup where that vent is pointing up, and it just doesn't look like an upright speaker. Now, based on the visuals of this model, it looks as though it is a pure digital design, which is one of the really common rumors and theories that were going around as long as we've heard about Project Lockhart, and that makes a lot of sense for that lower price point. But what's different about it compared to the PS5 all digital, which is supposed to be a PS5 in all the same ways, just all digital, the Series S is also supposedly going to be a lower spec model that is only capable of doing 1080p, possibly 1440p gameplay. Now, while of course there are people out there who are very excited about higher resolutions and playing games in 4K or possibly even 8K eventually, honestly, I really think the Series S is actually the much more compelling argument for a lot of people when it comes to picking up a next-gen system. Look, it's no secret that right now the economy's kind of been a little bit of a mess. There's been a lot happening this year, and so a system that is considerably more affordable at $300 sounds very, very nice. Now, we don't know the price of the PS5 just yet, at least as of the time that I'm recording this video, but we have also learned from Windows Central in another leak that happened shortly after the Series S one that it looks like the Xbox Series X is going to be priced at $500, putting a $200 price difference between these two systems. Now, in this same article from Windows Central, they also claimed that the release date of both the Series X and Series S would be November 10th, which is a big deal for a couple of reasons. First off, that's the first actual kind of hard date. We've constantly heard different kind of ranges of, oh, sometime in the holiday or sometime in November, maybe during this week. November 10th is a very specific date, and honestly sounds pretty accurate as far as when consoles usually tend to launch. The bigger deal about this, though, is that it's claiming both systems come out at the same time. Given how very close this is to launch time, a lot of people were figuring that since we didn't hear about the Series S yet, it might be something that was kind of happening later on. Maybe it wasn't going to be side by side with the Series X, but no, it looks like they are planning on launching these systems at the same time. So for this holiday season, assuming the PS5 doesn't have a pushback, you're going to have 4 different systems to choose from, 2 from each side: the PS5, the PS5 all digital, and the Xbox Series X and Series S. Now, I'm going to be really honest here. If all this information checks out and the Series S does what they're claiming it will do at that price point, that is an awesome option. If I was not doing reviews and was not going to go out of my way to, get a Series X to review it and talk to you guys about it, I would probably just get a Series S and be happy about it. $200 in savings to not have 4K and to not use discs sounds pretty alright to me. Personally, I've already accepted doing all digital on Xbox systems. I still go physical with PlayStation and Nintendo, mostly out of habit, but Xbox in particular, I've really jumped on the all digital train, especially because of Game Pass. And so having an all digital option that is that much cheaper sounds really appealing. I mean, this is something that Microsoft did try before with the Xbox One S all digital, which did not go over quite as well, but primarily because it didn't really offer any kind of true realistic savings, especially because you could find so many older models of the One S that were still unopened, brand new, selling at a lower price. But this situation is completely different because now we have 2 systems coming out side by side with flat MSRPs that, majority retailers are going to be adhering, at least at launch. And so having that much lower price point to basically play the exact same games at just a lower resolution is something that's appealing to a lot of people because not everyone has a 4K TV, and even if they do, a lot of people just don't care. The Series S is, I think, actually a much more interesting release to track for this upcoming holiday season, because while the Series X is definitely a beastly powerful system, and the PS5 is also very powerful, those going head-to-head was always kind of a weird debate, because as it stands right now, PlayStation obviously has a pretty big advantage when it comes to first-party exclusives, especially now that Microsoft has announced that Halo Infinite has been pushed back. But now there's an interesting debate of it's not just simply the system that has the exclusives and then the other system that's probably more powerful. We're actually hitting a situation where there's another option that is much more affordable for a lot of people out there that don't necessarily care about high power or first-party exclusive. They just want to be able to play next-generation games as they are releasing, and this is a system that's going to let people do that for $200 cheaper than the other options, at least for the Series X, if that ends up being true. We still don't know pricing for the PS5, but $500 has been a very common theory for a lot of people, with the all-digital sitting somewhere at $400 to $450. Also, because I didn't really spend a lot of time just reacting to it in the first place, let's talk about the design of the Series S. I actually kind of like it. It is not what a lot of people anticipated the Series S would look like. The really common theory was it would be like a half-height Series X, where it was more of just like a cube and it'd be white. The white color was right, but it looks like the design is much more in common with how we have the 1S and 1X, where it is a kind of rectangular, more standard-looking system, though the placement of that vent definitely gives it a very different look, especially in tower mode. Personally, I kind of like it. In general, I tend to prefer having my systems laying down sideways. I've never really been a fan of tower mode. With the Series X, I feel like I have to do tower mode. It just looks a little too silly to me sideways. And the same goes for the PS5, at least the all-digital one. So I really like the fact that this one looks like a kind of slightly more traditional design that'll fit in a lot more home entertainment setups. Though, given that it is the same height as the Series X, it is still definitely a long system in that mode. So yeah, pretty crazy leak that just happened. As of the time that I'm recording this video, still Microsoft has not officially confirmed any of these details yet, and funny enough, literally as we were just finishing editing this video, Microsoft has officially confirmed the Series S price point at $299. No word on the release date yet, but they do promise to share more info soon. I'd say the design of the Series S is definitely accurate. As far as the pricing and dates are concerned, I think that's a little more take it with a grain of salt. The pricing sounds right to me. Those are definitely the numbers that a lot of people were assuming, so this might just be confirmation bias in that case, but that sounds right. The one that I am still a little skeptical and just kind of on pause for is that release date, but again, a lot of this info is sounding pretty accurate, and I wouldn't be surprised if all of it ended up checking out. If that's the case, this is all true, the ball is now in Sony's court. We've got a pricing and release date for the Xbox Series X and the Series S, so now we need to find out when the PS5 and PS5 All Digital will be releasing, and what those prices are and how much cheaper each one is. Personally, I don't see either model getting as cheap as the $300 Series S. If the all-digital PS5 is $300, that's going to be an amazing competition, because that's still supposed to give you, 4K gameplay and all the kind of higher specs. I doubt that's going to be the case. More likely $400, maybe even as high as $450, but ball is now in Sony's court to see what they want to say back.